Trashveer will have the advantage into turn 1 over David van Veek. Martin Jacobs and Jan Risso will look to have the advantage over one another as we race on, charging their way into turn 1. And take a look at Jaco van Tonder. Fantastic start, making it 3 wide. Dives up on the inside and takes a fight. Oh, there's contact. The LMP2's all over the show. And Jaco van Tonder, who got the best start, unfortunately frisbeed out of the way. Martin Jacobs was able to keep the car in check, but Mahayath Musa got caught out, and it looks like we've got quite a few of the drivers landing up with a problem. Jaco Kutzer trying to get himself back together. Serodio near miss on his part as he has got Carl Oosthuizen on his tail. Both drivers having to take a very, very close look at our spinning LMP2, Mario and Jaco, as Darren Miller trying to look on the inside and see where he can move forward. Byron hopes to get the pass done and dusted. Ari Fenter gently round, managing to squeeze his way through, is going to allow Alan Patterson to gently tiptoe a bit closer. Estienne Pretorius along with Chris Roux a little bit further back, but Jaco Kutzer will be trying to navigate his way back. Mario trying to navigate his way back after a bit of a disastrous start to their race, who is not yielding at this point. Will be trying to see where he can make it work as Byron looks up on the inside, already into turn 1. The Mustang's able to stop dead on the apex, but we do see an LMP2 parked off, and unfortunately that looks like it has been Trashveer, who was our leader of the race, unfortunately lost it into turn 1. The LMP2 drivers were concerned, and oh, major impact in the background. Mario getting caught by Chris Roux, and it was a solid bash from both cars and picking up a fair amount of damage at this point. Not quite what both drivers want to have. Byron and Alan fight it out. Alan Patterson from BWSR going around the outside now. Needs to try and keep it in check. Byron, a big send down the inside. Loses out the momentum. And now Jaco Kutzer looking to fight his way back as he launches his way around Alan Patterson, but just not having an easy time as Trashveer gets in on the inside. Now stuck on the outside. Alan going to be split in the middle. A tough time for the GT3 driver. Keeps the composure as two of the LMPs keep him busy. Now, Alan now can utilize that drive to catch up to Byron up ahead in the Mustang. And Ari Fenter going to also be sweating bullets as once again our LMP2 drivers putting the GT3s dead square in the middle as they're trying to clear the field. However, that does compromise the drivers like Ari, who had to back off that a little bit more. That allowed Byron and Alan Patterson to come into play. Second place of our GT3s, Mahayath Musa keeps a very close eye on the two approaching LMP2 cars. They're going to be hunting him down. Does look to try and get him in turn 1. Unfortunately, both are breaking themselves, and now Mahayath Musa just keeps it in check. We do see Jaco van Tonder leaving pit lane as Trashveer coming around the outside, gets it hooked in, and forces the likes of Mahayath Musa out a little bit wide. Jaco Kutzer comes on by, not having an easy time. Byron now trying to move his way forward, but it looks like Ari has had a problem. Ari Fenter has turned round and unfortunately now needs to bring it all back from keeping the composure off the start of the race. Unfortunately now 9th in class, 14th overall, and having our LMP2s creating a bit of chaos around him. Martin Jacobs trying to keep ahead of Jaco van Tonder, who's a lap down at the moment. And for Martin, he's got to keep the pressure on, not to be fouled up. Mario trying to also move his way. Sorry, that is David van Veek. Trying to also see where he can go. Travish getting a little bit out of shape. And it looks like he's picked up a bit of damage on that LMP2, fighting to keep it in check. So Travesh, after moving forward, now landing up in a world of hurt and just trying to limp the car back. Serodio and Carl Oosthuizen fighting out for second and third in the LMP2 class. You can see Serodio takes a lot wider of a line, try and open up turn one a bit more. And Kyle Oosthuizen a lot shallower, but was able to close the distance under braking and will look to keep the fight up that little bit more as they charge down to the long left-hander. This is where you've got to be so critical on your brakes of what you need to do. And ahead of them, David van Wyk starting to stretch open that gap a little bit more. Fastest lap time of the race set by Kyle Oosthuizen and Martin Jacobs in the GT3 class. Kyle with his 139.3 and Martin with a 147.5 at the moment. Both drivers showing off what they can do, and unfortunately that is one of our LMP2 cars turned around. We'll try and find out who exactly that may be. Is that Jaco Kutzer? Yes, it was Jaco Kutzer, who is running 4th in class. 5th now had Martin Jacobs come careening on past him, and we'll have to try and get his way back. As we do see Esteban Pretorius really starting to see if Alan is running 95 or 93 in that car. But Alan was able to just get a little bit better on brakes with the BMW, a little bit more settled. Esteban Pretorius closes up at a rate of knots, and we do see Jaco Kutzer off circuit again. A little bit of damage to his car. It's going to allow the GT3 field through, as Alan Patterson's going to be quite thankful not to have too much of an issue to deal with a broken LMP2 car ahead to keep the drive on at the moment. As Alan Patterson gets a little bit squirrely and out of shape, he loses out to Esteban Pretorius a little too early on the throttle. We saw him in the background, and unfortunately that's gone and lost a bit of time. Jaco Kutzer immediately slots in behind Esteban Pretorius. The drivers having to gently navigate their way around, but at the same time they can't be too slow, as we see Kyle Oosthuizen big lunge on Andre Serodio into turn one, trying to see if he can force Serodio off the apex and if it's going to work out for him at the moment. Now having to fight it back from the brink. Chris Roux looks towards the inside, comes out, just trying to identify the brake marker. Unfortunately, lost a bit of time there, and right behind Alan Patterson as well. Hasn't been the easiest to drive for him. And now Ari Fenter in the Chevrolet looks to chase down the Beaver Teeth, the V6 turbocharged, the sports car that when it grows up, it wants to go and be a V8. Now chases down the Beaver Teeth that's building a dam right now of Chris Roux's BMW M4 GT3, and is not having an easy time out there, and we'll see the LMP2 class starting to close up at a rate of knots, looking to fight back. Chris holds the racing line at the moment. Ari trying to open up the corner a little bit more, looks for the undercut, early apex, couldn't quite get the drive out, and now sits waiting as a big lunge unfortunately didn't quite work out for him, and now has one of our LMP2 cars. It's one of the RTA teams coming on by, keeping it nice and gentle. David van Wyk not wanting to be caught out between this fighting duo. Now has Andre Serodio trying to clear past Ari as quick as he can around his teammate, gets unsteady, looks for the inside. Roux just ahead will be wanting to keep the racing line. For Andre Serodio, it is a matter of life and death right now. Down the inside, manages to make up a little bit of room as David van Wyk, caught behind Alan Patterson, has cost a little bit of time. Chris now fighting against Ari, side by side, door to door they go, going out rather wide. Ari hoping to carry the drive, but it is going to be Chris carrying the momentum, is able to make it stick. Ari caught in the spray, trying to guess where he's going to get this done and dusted. It is hyping up between these two as Ari down the inside over the curb to push Roux out that little bit wider. Roux not having an easy time out there. The Bad Skull team will look to fire back as much as possible at the moment. David van Wyk and Andre Serodio continue their charge. Serodio, quick flash of lights to let the Mustang know. Listen, coming through Byron, don't be alarmed as he hammers late on the brakes. Van Wyk trying to keep it all together. We do see Esteban Pretorius trying to close up. He's got a bit of damage on the nose of his McLaren, not having the easiest of time out there to try and catch up to Byron, but we're starting to see David van Wyk feeling the pressure and little less settled this time by as Serodio closes up at a rate of knots, knowing time is running out. It's not playing into the favor. David Van Veek loses it. He caved to the pressure, and that has been all she wrote for Serodio to move up through the order. Serodio takes the lead of the race. Don't go and have a problem. They'll start communicating as that Serodio turned round. Serodio turned round, and David Van Veek retakes the lead of the race. Serodio had the gap. He spun it in the middle of nowhere, catches the puddle too early on the power, down into second place, 4.6 seconds back. David Van Veek's got has got Lady Luck in his sights, and now looking to carry on the charge. 20 minutes remain, and drivers giving it their absolute all till the bitter end. You can see Serodio is only doing his pit stop now. Van Veek is yet to do a pit stop. Kutza, unfortunately, gone into the pits twice, as we do see our GT3s navigating their way around the circuit, with Mon Jacobs trying to keep it all together. But that is Byron, who now has both of the RTA LMP2s trying to maneuver his way around, not to be thrown back into fourth place. Wants to stand on the podium, now just trying to keep it tight, as we do see the LMP2, the 177 car, trying to navigate round. Kyle was getting squeezed further and further, but now leads out the race. Serodio trying to fight his way back, hope for the pit stop to undercut the likes of David Van Veek. He's got Darren Miller ahead of him. David Van Veek coming out of his pit box now, will be chomping at the bit. Miller goes towards the inside. Serodio coming through turn one. This is going to be close as Miller nearly gets it out of shape. Serodio back into second. He's undercut David Van Veek, but now needs to give it his absolute all till the very, very end. And this is going to be an incredibly tight race between them, as we've seen. And Jan keeping a very shallow line, very gentle on the throttle, not wanting to stand on the gas a little too hard, but brakes out a little bit earlier, bleeds off the brake a little bit earlier as well, allows the momentum to get into the back of Chris Roux. They do have Alan Patterson. They'll come to lap them. Byron into pit lane. Alan Patterson going a little bit more, as we do see contact. That's Jan getting out of shape with Chris. Nose to tail against the two of them. Jan loses out the drive, cuts back right in front of Alan Patterson. Does see Mahath Musa coming out. Root trying to defend, and it's 3 wide, and that got extremely close. Johan threading the needle against Mahath Musa, dives down the inside, gets her hooked in. Root unfortunately goes out wide. Mahath Musa gets a little contact as he gets out of shape against Patterson. Not what he wanted to have for his championship hopes, and for the fight out for third. Alan, who is now third place in the GD3 class, round one, who came second, bad blow, came second place. That would be his drop round, but now continuing the effort to go that little bit more. Serodio having to get elbows out at the moment, and much like the T-Rex, he goes in campaigns on the car. He's going to have to really stomp around the circuit to ensure he maintains his pace, with the likes of Alan Patterson, who's going to be a little bit of a cork in the bottle here. Serodio goes for the inside line, trying his luck to move Patterson offline. It does get elbow to elbow, and there's David Van Veek capitalizing, fearless yet again out of the second last corner. Kept it absolutely pinned. Another little interesting fight. Lucas Jabir and Johan Russo got into a nice little brawl with one another, with unfortunately Lucas running out wide, loses out that drive, has Mahath Musa come on by, but Johan Russo as well launched it up the inside, got the pass hooked in, and now continuing on the drive for Chris. It is all about bringing it back after a nightmare affair. Lucas Jabir going and seeing Chris into pit lane. So Chris having a bit of a problem into pit lane. But Johan coming out of the pits along with Chris. Both nose to tail. They're at the back end of the field, but be sure they're in for the fight. Byron is coming up next week, so you don't want to miss it, folks. But Byron now under pressure. Slow through the corner. Alan on the back of him. Alan's got the drive. He slides it out. Patterson not giving an inch right now. Is pulling out everything he can. He's going to try and throw a curveball like his son does in cricket. And now Byron needs to try and keep the momentum. Will the V8 keep ahead of the straight 6 turbocharged BMW. Nope, it is going to be Alan down the inside on the brakes, hooks it in beautifully, gets that pass done. Byron tried to go for the undercut. Alan slowed it on the apex. Byron loses it. Byron into the wall. The Mustang into the wall. Carl Oosthuizen will be looking to round out the final corners as he will be on a stellar run. 10 seconds to go. A slight lift. All that is needed to come across the line. Carl Oosthuizen will be taking the victory in the LMP2 field and putting yet another one on the mark for him. And Martin Jacobs will have one more lap to serve. David Van Veek keeps up the momentum. Serodio going that little bit more. And Carl Oosthuizen, a quick teleport back to the pits on his way through, but did get the victory. David Van Veek and Serodio going that little bit more to one another. Second place on the cards. This is going to be a big run. Carl Oosthuizen had an earlier pit stop than David Van Veek and Serodio, but coming towards the line, Serodio fought to the bitter end, but it will be David Van Veek ahead of Serodio in a tremendous fight in the LMP2 field, and what a drive on both their parts. And here is first of our GT3s. Will be trying to keep it all together. Jaco Kutzer and Travis getting themselves across the line. Maith Musa will finish up second place in the GT3s with Esteban Pretorius. Hard fought fight back into third place. Alan Patterson will take fourth place with Johan VDV, Byron Langdon, Darren Miller, getting it a little bit of a spin on the way through. Ari Fenter around in 8th in class. Lucas Jabet ahead of Johan Russo and Chris Roux. Mario, unfortunately, a DNF, not able to see it through to the end. Martin Jacobs taking the victory in the Mustang, getting it all squarely, trying to celebrate, and this would clear him in the championship. For Team RTA, Martin Jacobs will be a Project Vapor winner and taking the season win. Well done in the evening dash, and well done on a stellar victory for our Season 3 champion.